Oh no, Dr. Mike hates Bicep 21s. Hey guys, welcome to the Massive Iron Channel. I'm Steve Shaw. In this video, we're going to talk about Dr. Mike and his hate, his disdain for Bicep 21s. Watch this.
The last thing we're going to do is move to the easy bar. We're going to do those famous 21s.
21s.
Before we get into this topic, if you guys need coaching, check out the link down below. Coaching is what I do for a living. All right, 21s. We get a Dr. Mike hates 21s, and I'm not going to present the whole video. You can find the link to the original Dr. Mike video down below in the comments section. What I want to do here is analyze Bicep 21s. Typically, we do them with an easy bar in this generation. You can do them with a straight bar as well. We're going to talk about Bicep 21s, and we're going to go over the points that Dr. Mike covers. Now, basically, Bicep 21s are a bicep blaster where you do 7 full reps, 7 half reps from the bottom up, and 7 half reps from mid-range up. Now, you can do these in whatever order you want. Just do the order that feels good to you. I've seen it done many different ways, but that's besides the point. In the massive iron world, this is something I give to quite a few of my clients. And we also give out something called 18s, where we're doing 6 full reps, 6 bottom up reps, and 6 reps from halfway up. Now, I'm not going to be shy about saying I think this is a pretty darn reasonable bicep blaster. There are a lot of reasonable bicep blasters. With that said, let's get into why Dr. Mike hates 21s. Now, I had Gemini.ai summarize the video. Basically, there's 3 points, 3 reasons why Dr. Mike does not like 21s. First off, he calls them an arbitrary rep scheme. We're going to get into each of these points in just a second. Second of all, insufficient muscle targeting. Dr. Mike says it's not enough muscle targeting on the biceps. And finally, Dr. Mike says there are superior alternatives. Gemini said overall, Dr. Mike Israetel finds Easy Bar 21s to be a poorly designed exercise that doesn't optimize muscle growth compared to other training methods. So let's take a look at each of these points and see if they are valid. Point number 1, arbitrary rep scheme. Dr. Mike believes the 21 rep scheme, 7 reps at the bottom, 7 reps in the middle, 7 reps at the top, lacks a logical reasoning behind the specific rep ranges at different movement points. Basically, Dr. Mike is arguing that there's no rhyme or reason why we're doing something. Now, taking a cursory glance at any set and rep scheme and calling it arbitrary is rather silly. If something is reasonable, meaning within convention and certainly not abnormal, then it is certainly not arbitrary. We basically understand what is reasonable. Doing a set of curls between 6 to 12 reps is certainly reasonable. Amplifying this set by breaking it into parts and doing complete reps is certainly on paper a reasonable and non-arbitrary protocol. If you use Dr. Mike's logic, you could basically call anything that is conventional arbitrary if you wanted to, and if you didn't personally like it. Now, is there some grand scientific reasoning for doing 7 bottom reps, 7 top reps, and 7 complete reps? No, that doesn't mean it's ineffective. This is simply poor logic that ignores the real-world impact of this protocol. In addition, Bicep 21s have been around for endless decades. Let that resonate. They have a proven track record, and declaring that a rep scheme is arbitrary after decades of real-world use is absurd. 21s were originally called Super 21s by Vince Gironda. Now, just when 21s were invented is a point of contention. We don't know for certain, but it is safe to say they've been around at least 40 to 50 years. We know that Arnold Schwarzenegger used them way back in the day as part of his biceps training. So we know 21s have been around forever. If something's going to last the test of time, it has to have some reasonable use, or else it would have been set aside long ago by the bodybuilding community. Now, point number 2, Dr. Mike says Insufficient muscle targeting. He argues it doesn't target the muscles most effectively because it starts within the weakest point bottom where you can't lift as much weight, then moves to easier segments and finishes with full reps when you're already fatigued. I would argue that this is an incredible amount of overanalysis that simply ignores the real world experience. You can feel free to use this protocol yourself and tell me if it trashes your biceps. I can almost guarantee it will. It certainly does for me. To claim 21s are insufficient at targeting the biceps is simply his personal opinion, trying to sound all scientific, trying to sound all science-based. If this protocol was insufficient, no one would continue to use it. It is very intense. You can easily argue that this is kind of a case of art versus science. Mike is positioning himself in the science end of things, but this is a protocol that is more art than science. You have to feel, you have to understand, you have to implement. And anyone that uses this protocol will know it trashes your biceps. It is very intense, and it certainly works well at its designed impact, and that is to crush your biceps. All right, final point. There are superior alternatives. This is such a horrible use of logic. Mike suggests full range of motion reps followed by partial reps at the end when fatigued, like a drop set, as a more logical and effective way to achieve muscle growth. One of the things we do in the massive iron world is something called massive curls. We'll do strict reps, and then after your strict reps are done, we will do some cheat reps. That's certainly okay. And after the cheat reps are done, we'll do drag curls to finish out. This is basically very similar to what Dr. Mike is talking about here. Two different protocols, but kind of in the same family. But this is a case of pointless and poor logic. There's almost always a superior alternative to every exercise. This doesn't mean the exercise or protocol itself doesn't have substantial value. 21s have an immense amount of value. And just because you don't do something more intense or something more sciencey, like Dr. Mike's suggestion, or like massive curls, the thing that I've created, doesn't mean this doesn't have an incredible amount of use and value. In the bigger picture, and what we do in the massive iron world is we teach that it is more important to have a quality grouping of exercises for each muscle group. This is truly what drives muscle growth. 21s are not a requirement, but they are certainly quality. But if you want to hit your biceps to a quality and substantial degree, we don't worry about one individual protocol. We worry about the overall bigger picture, the bigger impact. Are you using a quality grouping, a quality selection of exercises? If you are doing so and you remain consistent and you have progressive overload in the mix, you will grow your biceps, period, end of story. There will always be something superior to one individual exercise. This does not make that exercise a poor or inferior choice. So the final word on 21s, my opinion. First, is there a reasonable progression opportunity with 21s? Yes, there is a reasonable and decent progression opportunity that makes it a quality choice. Second, is it a reasonable exercise selection? Yes, it's a very reasonable exercise selection and a very reasonable protocol for all the reasons we listed in this video. And finally, does it encourage hard training? Why, yes, it obviously does. So you have a quality exercise selection, a quality protocol that has a decent progression opportunity, and it encourages hard training. This makes Biceps 21 a wonderful choice if you decide it fits in well with your preferences and your program. So guys, thanks for watching. Have a great day.